Hi, it's Tiffany. I am back again to talk to you about children and human design. I'm here to suggest that maybe human design offers us a instruction manual on how our kids are designed to operate and how they're designed to move through the world. I'm sure you've heard the saying that, children or kids don't come with an instruction manual. I'm here to say maybe they do. Before I get into the 5 different areas that human design can help us when it comes to understanding our children and how they're designed to operate, I do want to talk about why this is important. And this is information I wish I would have had when my son was a lot younger. The way this information can help us is it can explain the eating patterns or the eating habits of our kids and why maybe some kids are more picky and some kids seem to eat at certain times a day or not eat at certain times a day. It can tell us how our children and their energy is designed to operate. So we might have one child that seems to have a bit more energy and another seems like their energy operates a little bit differently. This information can tell us how our child is designed to make decisions. So then we can create a supportive environment. I'm going to get into 5 key areas where human design might be helpful, might shed some light on kind of what's going on underneath the hood with our children and how they're designed to operate, and then also how can we support them. The first thing I'm going to talk about is energy type. So some of our children are designed to have more energy. And when we know the energy type of our child based on their birth information, we will be better equipped to support them. So, for example, if you have a generator or manifesting generator child who has the sacral energy center defined, and if you're new to human design, when that sacral energy center is defined, you can think of it as like it's a little bit of an engine in the car, it's the gas in the car. This center is designed to create energy when it's doing things it loves to do, when that individual is doing things that they love to do. However, if you have a child who's a projector, who was born a manifestor energy type or a reflector, and that sacral energy center is not defined, it is white or open, you may find that that child has less energy, or it seems like their energy kind of sputters out a little more quickly, or maybe that energy that they have is not consistent. They don't show up consistent, or maybe that energy is drained very quickly, even when they're doing things that they love to do. And so when you have this information, it's going to give you very clear strategies on how to support your child. For example, let's say you're a family of generators and manifesting generators. The one thing you're going to want to do is create a culture around, are we following our desire? I understand that that's not always realistic. We can't always follow our desire and do everything we want to do. However, as a parent, what we can start to understand is that when our generator or manifesting generator child starts to lose interest or lose desire to participate in a particular activity, we might then know, if we know their human design, okay, as soon as I can, I need to support my child in pivoting from that activity because they have lost interest in it. It's not something that's lighting them up. Instead of having this story of, oh, we just need to push through and we need to do things that we don't want to do sometimes, right? Again, money may have been invested. There may have been a time investment, of course. But the idea is as the parent to a generator or manifesting generator child, you can support that child by saying, okay, I know that this is not something that lights you up anymore. We need to finish this commitment. And then once the season's done, whatever it is, then we can move on to something else that's more exciting to you. Likewise, if we know that we have individuals in our family and specifically children in our family who do not have that sacral energy center defined, who are a projector energy type, a manifestor energy type, or a reflector energy type, what we can recognize at that point is when our child is in activities that they enjoy doing. So even if that's a sport, if it's a club, whatever that activity is, that child is not going to generate or create energy while they're doing the thing that they love to do. Sometimes there can be negative stories for children who are a projector or manifestor or reflector because their energy is inconsistent, because they don't show up the same way, because they can burn out very quickly. They don't have that sacral energy to fuel them. They can be labeled as lazy. So if you have two kids in the house and one's a generator or manifesting generator, and then you have one's a projector or manifester, for example, and you're seeing the energy difference between the two of them, there can be negative stories that develop between the two children. So one child might be considered more productive and more of a go-getter and going after things, and the other child might be considered more lazy or not as productive or not as driven as the other child. So this is where it can be incredibly helpful as a parent when you know the differences between your children and you know what to expect from your child realistically when it comes to their human design. And so there are strategies that we can put in place to support and honor them. So the next example I'd like to talk about where human design can be really helpful is when we understand how our children are designed to make decisions. This is something called authority in human design. You can also think of it as the intuitive voice, the most powerful voice that tells an individual if something is energetically correct for them or not. So if you have a child in your home who, say, is a generator with sacral authority, the way they go about making decisions is going to be different than a child that, say, is a projector with emotional authority. So in the case of the generator that has sacral authority, that authority is generally going to come a little bit faster. They will know if something's a yes for them based on the excitement level or how much satisfaction they're getting from that activity. And they will know if something's a no for them if it's kind of like this icky ooh response, right? Like, I don't want to do that. They'll know if it's not right for them. Whereas the projector child with emotional authority, they may need a little bit more time to make decisions. Individuals who have emotional authority, they have something that's called an emotional wave. And that emotional wave is, you can think of it as your mood, and it's your mood that happens over time. And so individuals who have emotional authority are going to have this kind of natural ebb and flow of how their mood shows up for them. And that can happen throughout the course of a day, can happen throughout the course of a few days, something along those lines. But the point is, individuals who have emotional authority need a little bit of time to feel into whether a decision is energetically correct for them. So unlike the generator child who has sacral authority, who might be able in the moment to say, yes, I want to play football, or yes, I want to play soccer, the child with emotional authority is going to need a little bit more time to make that decision. So the way we can help parent that child that has emotional authority is when they're presented with options, whether that's for extracurricular activities or whatever it is they want to do, the parent should offer the options to that child and say, okay, let's come back to this decision tomorrow morning and let's check in to see how you feel about it. Let's come back in 2 days and see how you feel about this decision and which is right for you. So the more time the parent can offer the child with emotional authority, because they need a little bit of time to feel into whether that thing is energetically correct for them, the better. The worst thing a parent can do for a child who has emotional authority is say, please make a decision right now, and put that pressure on them. So that is one of the ways that we can help and support our children making decisions, is when we know their human design authority, their voice of that intuition that tells them what is right for them or not. So the third thing I would like to talk about that human design might be able to help us with when it comes to understanding our kids is whether our children are designed to have more structure. Is their brain designed to thrive with structure, or is their brain designed to thrive with more fluid and flexibility? So some kids might do really well with a very set schedule. And when I say this, when I say structure versus fluidity, I'm not talking about routine. We all have, whether our brain will thrive with structure, our brain will thrive with less structure. We all have rituals, we all have routines. This goes beyond that. So for example, children who are designed to thrive with structure might do very well with tools that are designed to help them keep track of their day, with to-do lists, with writing things out over the course of the day. Children who are designed for less structure might not do as well with these pre-designed tools like planners. They might be better designed to create their own and use their mind creatively to create their own tool that really helps them. They might do really well with a blank notebook where they can take different colored markers, where they can create their own structure, where they can be creative in the process of managing whatever it is that they're looking to manage. The fourth thing I want to talk to you about is that human design can help us understand how our kids are designed to eat. Especially if you have more than one kid in your house, you might have noticed that some of your kids are totally fine with eating whatever's put in front of them, and then you might have kids who are more picky. You might have kids who it seems like you can't get them to eat anything before they go out the door. And then you're left feeling guilty as a mom because you're like, oh my goodness, my child just won't eat. And I'm sending them to school hungry. And then you might have kids who want to eat breakfast, no problem. So in human design, there's something called ideal digestion. If you know the ideal digestion of your child, this might shed clues on how to best support them, and it might take some stress off of you if you're one of those moms who has a child who isn't interested in eating first thing in the morning. You might find out that their ideal digestion in human design is something called indirect light. So if your child has indirect light, they might be that child that's just not even hungry in the morning and they're not going to start eating until around noon. The other thing you might get are kids who are super picky eaters. And there are humans who have this digestion type who are designed to eat the same thing pretty much every single day until they get sick of it. And then only when they're sick of it are they designed to shift to the next thing. So ideal digestion and human design can be super helpful in understanding how to support your kids. If you have a family dynamic where it's important that everybody's eating at the table, but maybe you have a child who say their biggest meal should happen earlier in the day and not later in the day, you can just say, hey, I'm going to have you sit with us at the table. You just need to eat a little bit. You don't have to eat as much as everybody else at the table. And you understand that their biggest meal was in the morning and not in the afternoon. So these are the examples of how this information can be helpful to level set the expectations on your kids and honoring their ideal digestion. The last thing I want to talk about from a human design perspective that can be super helpful for our kids is understanding their ideal environment. So let me give you a little background on ideal environment. The idea is that the more time we spend in our ideal environment, the better it is for our brain, the more we will thrive, the more we will see the things we're meant to see in life. So it's a really good thing to understand our ideal environment. For example, like if they are working on schoolwork, we might be able to put them in a scenario in our home that's a little bit more aligned with their ideal environment. We might find that they thrive doing homework there than, say, doing it in another location, like in their bedroom or something like that. The other thing that is really helpful with ideal environment is it can give us a sense for how important space is. So space and privacy is, of course, important for every human being on the planet. I'm not suggesting it's not. However, I did a family reading recently where one of the kids had selective caves as their ideal environment. And so my advice to the mom was like, look, just pay attention to this child as they're growing up. They may be more picky about their personal space. They may need to have more control of their bedroom, what goes into their bedroom, who's in their bedroom, those sorts of things. And just be aware, just watch for it. Just notice that if your child seems to be distressed in some way, they may find the safety of their room to be helpful to them. You may also find that they take more care with their personal space, that they're more controlling or they have a need for controlling their personal space, maybe more so than the other kids. I'm not trying to be prescriptive in this conversation, but it was more like, hey, this is a watch out. This is something that you can keep an eye on, and it's a way to support your child so that they feel very comfortable as they're growing up. And you may find that it also helps them thrive when it comes to schooling and that sort of thing. And so that's how ideal environment can be helpful to us, especially when it comes to parenting our kids. All right, so that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, as usual, please let me know in the comments below.